G'day everyone, this is project 7AZ. This is just going to be my introduction video for what the project is. So here I have my AE71 Corolla, completely bone stock, still running the 4AC with a auto box. Now this engine's a bit tired, so I thought, right, about time to swap it. But I didn't want to just go with a 16 valve or 20 valve swap. Bit overdone, and main thing is expense. You know, stuff's not cheap anymore. And I like trying things a bit different. So I thought, okay, people have done 7A bottom ends with a single cam head. Why not strap a supercharger to it? So 7AZ. 7A bottom end, a single cam head, and a supercharger. So I have all the bits and pieces in my shed, so we'll go take a look. So here we have my 7A bottom end. So the difference is between a 4A and a 7A is longer stroke. So instead of 1.6 for a 4A, a 7A is 1.8. And here I have my supercharger. I've already started modifying it. This is, from memory, an M32, Eaton M32 from a Mercedes C180 compressor. If I got the supercharger name wrong, I'll correct it here. So that I intend on planning on mounting somewhere here. So I still got to prep this block, so that means I got to get crank pulley from the 4A, get my mounts and all that, probably paint the engine block. It's not the prettiest looking thing, but this was a complete 7A FE that I picked up from a car I was wrecking, and everything looks good on it. Deck looks pretty healthy. I've already cleaned it a little bit. If I remember, it only had about 70,000 Ks on it, so barely anything. And it still has this flywheel, which is good because I'm going to put a T50 behind it if I can pick one up cheap enough. So I need the full conversion for that. So I'd need the T50 box, pedal box, hydraulic master cylinder, the lot. If anyone out there is selling the whole setup cheap, let me know in the description below. Well, comments, sorry. Blech. As you can tell, I'm a complete amateur at this. And here is the cylinder head. So I've done a little, well, me and my cylinder head shop guy has done a little bit of work on this, mostly just clean up. Opened up the chamber a little bit to drop the compression. The reason why is because I don't expect a factory head gasket to hold up, but a 4AG 16 valve head gasket, a TRD one, so they're multi-layer steel and a bit thinner, fits these heads perfectly. With that would bump up my compression to 9.5 to 1. A little bit higher than where I'm willing to go, so we use that kind of headroom to clean up the chamber a little bit. So just smoothing it out a little bit. We opened up here around the intake, and a little bit down here for the exhaust side, and just clean up. And now we measured the chamber at, I can't quite remember the cc, but the compression ends up being 9.3 to 1, which I'm a bit happy with. So I get all the benefits of a multi-layer steel head gasket. So it will be a TRD 4AG 16 valve head gasket, and to go with that I have studs, ARP studs. But for people who know a 4AG, they have two different head bolt lengths, and that won't work for this because a 4AC or single cam head all has the same size. In comparison, the 4AG long is too long for this, and the 4AG short is too short for this. So I've measured up, with the head on the block, put a caliper through the cylinder, the bolt hole through the cylinder head into the base of the hole in the block, and what I found is it was 4.5 inches. I can't quite that was about 115 mil, and turns out 3S GTE is perfect, absolutely perfect for this, exact correct length, and it'll work a-okay. So just to hold this thing together, because I don't want to sit around with blown head gaskets all the damn time. I've had enough of that. These are a set of headers to replace the stock exhaust manifold because, well, they don't flow anything. It's not pretty, it's far from the nicest thing out there, but, who else makes headers for a 4AC? So, and unfortunately they're not exactly cheap, but, they're solid enough. I've had to clean up through here because there was some really nasty welding leftovers here, kind of sharp edges too. But if anyone wanted to tackle this, I'd probably say see if someone can laser cut a flange for you and probably make it yourself. You could probably make a better design than this, because I bought this out of some bloke from Indonesia. They look alright, I can't really have many complaints about the welding. It looks solid, but I'm pretty sure if you have someone who knows at least something about header design, you could probably come up with something a little better, or more optimized, I should say, more optimized for this. And definitely cheaper. 100% you can make one yourself cheaper than this, because I paid about $350 or $400 US for this. Yeah, what you're gonna do? No one else is gonna make one, and I'm not good at welding. We'll get started. Well, I'll get started in the next video, but I just wanted an overview of what's going on with this car. So, long story short, 7A block, 4AC head, and a Mercedes supercharger. Because I just want this thing, a really torquey cruiser. Or maybe if I'm enthusiastic enough, I might try drifting someday, but we'll see. Alright. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. And follow me on my social medias. In the meantime, have a good one. Welcome to the bonus segment. I'm just going to be discussing some of the parts and a little bit more in depth of some things I got to consider during this build. First of all, the Eaton M45 supercharger. I pulled this myself out of a 2003 Mercedes C180 compressor. The reason I went with this over an SC12 or an SC14 is just availability and budget. I'm not one who wants to pay $400, maybe more, for an SC12 that's got shot rotor coating, and got to rebuild the thing. There's plenty of these things available, and for $130, I'm not going to complain. I've already opened it up. Everything looks healthy inside, so let's go over what I've done to this. First of all, this is a silencer, which would completely unnecessary, just chop that off. And to there, welded on a piece of just intercooler pipe that I had. So that's 2.5 inch outlet, and conveniently inlet's also 2.5 inch, so that works out fine. And the factory outlet is also 2.5 inch, so I'm not going to create any restriction there. And then also chopped out this bypass, so chopped it here, plated it with the leftover material that I had, and also took off the electric bypass valve. The other thing I got to do now is I've already taken off the serpentine pulley. I got to get a pulley made. I'm going to put a double V because the crank pulley already has a double V, and I'm not inclined on modifying the crank pulley to add serpentine to it, because then I have to realign all the pulleys and everything and make sure the crank pulley is balanced. That's going to be more costly than just making a double V pulley and running 2 V belts. I'm not really concerned about belt slip running 2 V belts. One, I was a little bit concerned, so just 2 for peace of mind. Moving on to obviously getting fuel into the motor. So I've gone with a Weber 3236. On the top right, that is a rising rate fuel regulator. So it's fuel in, fuel out, return at the bottom that you cannot see, and a boost signal. So for every 1 pound of boost, it will increase the fuel pressure by 1 psi. Then bottom right is basically a turbo carb hat. I picked up all this from Weber Performance, I believe. Yeah, it should be Weber Performance, and just linkages, adapter, and a jet kit as well. The change that they do to the carb is one, pull off the choke plates, which they've already been removed, and then the hole for the linkage right about here. I gotta fill that in with JBL just so I don't have a boost leak. Now that we have the carburetor, we need the fuel to supply it. For this, I've gone with a Holley Mighty Mite part number 12-429. The reason why is because it can offer 15 pounds of fuel pressure. The Weber on idle, so no boost at all, needs about 2.5 psi. And then for each pound of boost, I got to add 1 pound of fuel. I only intend on running 8 to 10 pounds, so this pump will give me plenty of fuel to do the job, especially with 50 gallons per hour, which is more than enough for a tiny 1.8 liter motor. And I didn't want to, cut open the fuel tank and put a drop-in pump and all that. Just try keeping this simple and budget-friendly as possible. That's kind of the goal here. So this pump will give me 15 pounds, more than enough fuel, because running, say if I ran my safe limit of 10 pounds of boost, I need 12.5 pounds of fuel pressure. I have that in spades. And then just 2 5/16 fuel fittings. Because while the car does have 1/4 inch fuel lines, which should be enough for this, my regulator and the inlet of the carb is in 5/16, so I just put 5/16 fittings on the pump, and then the regulator also has a return as well, and gonna run 1/4 inch for that, so that should be plenty. I don't have too much concerns about that, but we'll see how things go. And the last component I want to go over is an adjustable cam gear. This is required for this because due to the increased deck height of the 7A block compared to a 4A, the cam alignment is going to be slightly off. So from memory, and we'll go through this more in depth as the build progresses, but from memory, to get 0 crank timing and 0 cam timing, the adjustable cam pulley needs to be set to 4 degrees advanced from memory. This is from memory. If I remember more of it, or we'll confirm it as the build goes on, but I just wanted to go over just a couple of things today of some of the more important bits of the build, or key components. With that, thank you again for viewing, and don't forget to leave a like, share, subscribe. Cheers and have a good one.